Good morning also, Anna. So, and most of all, good morning, India. Thank you so much for helping us to arrange this and to setting this up. And I know you've got a hard stop, so we're going to give you sort of pride of place in the beginning of it. So just to sort of introduce what we're doing today, we're doing a little masterclass. So it's a very little select group that we thought we'd bring together. And we appreciate your time. We know you're all busy running your own businesses and things. So time is precious. We've tried to make this as compact and as proactive as possible, as useful as possible for you all. It is a small group. You've taken the time out. I would really appreciate if I really appreciate that time. Put away your emails, put away your other screen, put away your iPhones. Just give us an hour and interrupt me. Don't wait for quick Q&A at the end. If you've got things to say, just hop on in or raise a hand or just join in for that. So what we're going to talk about really are so-called sort of digital strategies. So where, online, everything online. And I've got a slide deck, which is going to help us go through and structure the thing. So I'm going to share my screen now and do that. Once I share my screen, it's hard for me always to see your hands up. So again, like I said, just interrupt, just go straight on in. I'm going to share my screen here, and then I'll do formal introductions, and then give over to India for a little while as well. John's AI is giving me lots of information there. It's kind of strange, kind of fun. Right, if you can all see my screen, hopefully you're going to get a copy of this as well. So what we're going to be talking about is particularly the online world, and delighted to be here today and with India as well. So I'm going to give brief introductions. You've met Ava online and now in person, who also works at IBT Online. I should have really put her head up here as well. Sorry about that, Ava. Just realizing that now. And my name is Susanna, and I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. And I work with Ava on quite a lot of these sort of events. And just to say, IBT Online, who are we? Why are we doing this? We're what's called a full stack digital marketing company. So what does that mean? It means we build websites, we do a lot of e-commerce, we do digital marketing. We're really known for two things, two specialities, which really raise us above the crowd, we hope. The first is that we're very focused on American small to mid-cap companies, and we're very focused on the international. We do a lot of work in the USA as well, but we're also focused on the international. So our origin is also helping companies go outside of their immediate domestic market. That's what we're sort of known for, as it were. And with that, we've actually developed these so-called online global programs, which are sort of like a really easy sort of process, a really sort of step-by-step guide to help companies expand outside their core domestic market, whether that's a state, whether that's a country, or whatever, to go further beyond that. And we're also super proud of the fact that we have a strategic partnership with U.S. Commercial Service. Now for the second year in a row, we are the strategic partner for e-commerce with U.S. Commercial Service. And we work a lot also with state economic development agencies, like with the LED. We have a dedicated page just for Louisiana on our website, which gives you more information. I encourage you to toggle through that and have a look through. Today, I'm going to hand over to India now to talk a little bit about the Louisiana Economic Development Agency, LED, and how the LED, what role LED really plays, and how people like India are there to help you. Louisiana is a really fortunate state in that you've got a very proactive, very strong LED, a very strong economic development agency. We work with a lot of states, so I can say you're on a good one there. And India is very proactive, very present. So that's great for you. Then I'm going to take it back. We're talking a little bit about sort of some of the big trends going on online, which I think is useful to at least be aware of. Even if you say that's not for me right now or whatever, let's be aware of it and where things are going. And then stepping back a second, some of the core tenets, if you like, of digital marketing, of online presence, of your websites, of where you should be thinking about how you can easily adapt and look at your website and say, I can turn this into a more proactive, a more hard-hitting marketing and sales tool, especially for my internationals. There's some takeaways. There's some practical slides as well about here's some steps of things to do and such. But and then obviously Q&A. But as I said, we're a small little group. Step right in whenever you feel like it. With that, I'm going to hand over to India just to say a couple of words, please.
Thank you. That was a great introduction. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And I am the step director. If you haven't met me, I think everybody has. But specifically for this meeting, you guys have shown an interest in marketing and marketing your businesses internationally. And so IBC Online is our partner for that. And so we wanted to present this opportunity to you guys as another tool or an asset that you can utilize to best support your efforts with exporting. Specifically within Louisiana, we do have a partnership and a contract right now where we have available 4 $10,000 awards that you guys can utilize for these specific services that they will go through today in this meeting. If you decide that this is an opportunity you want to maximize, you definitely can take the time to do such. We're excited to partner with you guys, and we look forward to just supporting you going forward. So thank you for taking the time this morning. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, if I'm a small, medium-sized company, Louisiana says you've got a step grant available of up to $10,000. That's amazing. And again, really, really, Louisiana companies are fortunate in that. A lot of other states. Anyway, different matter. Let's go moving on. Let's move on. Let's talk about online world. Let's talk about e-commerce a little bit, about what e-commerce means in today's world. And then I'm going to touch very, very briefly on the old AI subject. Hopefully John and John's AI assistant here will tune in on that. I wanted to give, so I'm going to start with some stats. Okay. Just some basics that paint a big picture of where we are. Total population in the world, over 8 billion, nearly 6 billion unique phone subscriptions, which is, 70% of the world has got a phone, which means most of them e-commerce internet enabled all the time. So you can get online almost all the time using your phone. 67%, nearly 70% of the world's population is using the internet. 5.5 billion people. What really blows me away is that the average time per day is nearly 7 hours a day. So 5.5 billion people, 7 hours a day on the internet. Now, it's worth thinking about that when you're thinking about how to reach people, where they are, how to get them, and so on. And obviously, e-commerce is, it was fast growing before the COVID epidemic and things really, really boosted it. It's now back to a more normal sort of growth rate of 2, 3, 4%. But it is now absolutely, a normalized thing for all parts of the age groups, for all parts of society, and for all countries everywhere. Again, this is just a sort of massive graph that you can see. I just wanted to highlight the big red arrow there is the USA. So this is B2C. And what is it? 57% of people on the internet in the USA purchase things every week. But we're not the only ones. If you're aiming for the UAE, they're even more shopaholics and e-commerce shopaholics than we are. And even a country which is low down is still at the 50% level. So e-commerce really is something that everybody is now looking at across the world. And okay, that's B2C. It's a lot harder to find the B2B numbers, but B2B numbers are actually way bigger than B2C. More or less 3 times the size of B2C. So if you're in the B2B world, if you're selling to oil distributors, chemical industries, other manufacturers, they more and more demand and require some form, some level of e-commerce enablement is what they're looking for. And it doesn't have to be the full e-commerce like a Shopify site, but you need to start thinking about how you can empower your sales and marketing team with a bit more of an e-commerce enablement, which should please their clients. And I'll talk about that in a little minute. Another massive graph here. Again, this I think is interesting because it shows you a little bit more about social media. And again, in the States, I'm on social media all the time. But look, the rest of the world is even more on social media than we are, especially looking for brands. And again, this is more B2C, but it's the same thing on B2B. So if you're looking to get into the India market or Mexico or, Kenya or wherever, they're even more on social media and so on. So it's a good thing to know. It's because it means that you as a small mid-cap company, you know where your prospects are and you know how to reach them. They're online and you reach them using types of social media. I said I'd talk very briefly about AI, and really because AI, it will affect us all in various ways, but because digital marketing in particular, has always been using a lot of software tools that had some form of AI in it. It is very, AI is now very affected or marketing is now very affected by AI. So marketing is really at the forefront of what you're seeing in terms of AI. And even Google Analytics is a form of AI. So really we, as marketeers, we've been using AI and types of AI for now more than, nearly 2 decades. Obviously the large language models like ChatGPT are of a different ballgame. They're transformative in that sense. And again, we'll talk a little bit about how AI can be really quite a strong enabler if you're focused on the marketing and in particular also on international marketing. I want to give you just one example of how AI can affect rapid decision making and such. So, if you go into software that does social listening, and things like that, for example, when we're looking at managing our companies, our clients, and we're saying, okay, we're sort of stuck at about sort of the 200 level per day on Facebook and Instagram, and we really want to increase that. And how about we do some videos on our homepage? We've got videos elsewhere, but how about we do this? Now, in the past, we would have had to do A/B testing and all kinds of other things. It would have taken us a couple of months to figure out where on the homepage, what kind of video, whether it would be a good thing or not in this particular market. With social listening and different types of AI software, we can interrogate the market in a new way, decide whether it is the best. It gives us the data points that we need, the data analysis that we need, and we put it in place. So this is an example just of saying, should we include a video on our homepage in this market? The answer was yes. And we went, the ROI was within a week. Went from 200 to 500 clicks. So that was just an example of how something like a social media listening or an AI can really help you make faster decisions and track the data that you need for the ROI. Another point about ROI, and again, this is more about analytics, is the ability to really drill down at the granular level of saying, where am I looking at? Where am I getting the best results? Where am I getting the best information for the companies, for the countries? Which kind of distributors? Which kind of feeds are we looking at, and so on? And again, this kind of granular level of analysis is really worth having when you're looking at expanding internationally and so on. So really just trying to encourage you all to start thinking carefully about your analytics when you're looking at your international markets. Just in sort of one slide, just trying to encapsulate some of these latest trends. AI is clearly there. E-commerce is clearly there, as we've talked about. There's a couple of other things which I won't dwell on that much in this talk here, but it's sort of this combination of both personalization and community. So we're all on the web all the time, and it's, billions of people, but at the same time, we're all looking for different communities. So we try and find communities that relate to our interests. And if you're looking at marketing a company, you want to plug into those communities and share and become a thought leader within those communities. If you produce a company that makes a widget, you want to be known as the person to go to when you want to have information about that particular widget. Social commerce is also a major trend. Social commerce is basically when you're going on Instagram straight into an e-commerce store. And that's something that's very strong in B2C, less in B2B, but we're starting to see it in B2B as well. And I think it's really important when you look at videos, especially imagery, which then allows people to say, oh, this really interests me, this resonates with me, I want to go directly into someone and speak to someone about sales. Data privacy and compliance makes most people yawn, and most people are like, oh, I don't want to even talk about that. It's so complicated. It's so, boring. But it is a wave coming at all of us. And it is something that you do need to be aware of and you cannot ignore. So please make sure that your websites, at the very least, have an SSL certificates or are secure encrypted. Let me give you an example. If you do not have an encryption on your website, if you're sitting in a country like, for example, anywhere in the EU, in Japan, Colombia, if someone from Europe goes onto your website, there's a large yellow triangle that appears on their screen that says, this website is not secure. That's not something you want to have next to your brand. So please do make sure that your websites are at least at that level of security. Right. Just sort of rounding up that first sort of introduction part of this presentation, just to say, very much from our point of view, what we're seeing is that sales is really going to be very much digital first. People don't want to have a cold call or anything else. What they want to do is they want to find you and check out what you are as a company, who you are, where you are, how you are, and check that out. And they will make a judgment on your brand and the type of company you are based on your online presence. And they will look at that, and then they will decide whether they want to be reached out to or not. And they will decide on which channel they want. And you might be on that channel, but they want this channel. You might be on Facebook, they want LinkedIn. They're on LinkedIn. You want, whatever it is, you have to be on the channel that they want to be on. And it is always, always customer centric. This is something I want to drill down into a bit. Everything on the web is always searcher centric, customer centric. So that goes straight into sort of, your buyer persona. And that's kind of like what I want to talk about now. So back to a bit of a sort of a basics about marketing, but I think it's worth highlighting at this point, just because it's so important when you're looking at the web. Knowing your buyer persona is absolutely key to make sure that you are reaching the right person at the right time with the right message. So what is a buyer persona? A buyer persona, first of all, is not a company. It is a person. So very often when we talk to companies, they say, well, who's your buyer persona? And they tell us, oh, here's our competitors and here's our prospects. And they'll give you a list of companies. Say, well, okay, that's one thing. That's your ideal corporate subject. That's your ideal company target. But who in that company actually signs the checks? Who signs the IPOs? Who signs the orders? That's the person that you want to communicate with, because all communication on the web is person to person. It is, me as a rep for my company reaching out to you as a potential buyer of services. So person to person, whether that's on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, or via your website. It's person to person. It's important to remember that. And, there's lots of ways to figure out your buyer persona. The easiest, I always think, is just get your whole sales team in one room and say, who are you selling to these days? and get them to actually say, well, it's usually this kind of person, and that's their age and that's their person, and then figure that out. Give you an example of a buyer persona and how a company can reflect that buyer persona. And I quite like this one by Zipcar. Zipcar actually says their buyer persona, defines their buyer persona in their mission statement. It's urban dwelling, educated, techno savvy. So it's, college educated, whatever. And in their Instagram posts, you can see that that's reflected there. Okay, these people have got plants. They're worried about the environment. Some plants. They look like they're going to college. Yeah, leafing for college this weekend. Don't forget. So you can see how the Instagram post reflects their buyer persona. It's supposed to resonate directly with their buyer persona. Give you another example. And this is particularly important when you start looking at your international buyer persona. So, there's a couple of questions here you might want to ask yourself here on the left. Most importantly, in what way does my international buyer persona differ from my Louisiana buyer persona? And you might even have differences in your buyer persona between Louisiana and Oregon, or Louisiana and New York. But, try and just think about what does it mean to have a different buyer persona in different markets. Now, this is an example from L'Oreal. L'Oreal, they do shampoo and hair company. So for the USA, they have that image of L'Oreal USA. All women, top floor, urban, very engaged, very much online. They're engaged either on their own or in pairs like that. So that's the sort of person that they think will resonate with L'Oreal USA. If I go to L'Oreal Mexico, it's a little bit different. It's more collegiate. They're all gathered together, still urban, still on the top floor, still in a city environment. Now there's two men in the image, and they're all grouped together and talking and smiling together. It's a little bit different in terms of the personality that L'Oreal has identified for Mexico. And L'Oreal in Canada is different again. They say, well, Canada is this, cultural and ethnic mosaic of a country, more diverse, perhaps younger also, more urban, yes, but younger in the urban centers, more edgy, perhaps. So again, they try to resonate their imagery with the individual buyer personas in those markets. I just want to give you those examples of saying, knowing your buyer persona and understanding the buyer persona in your target markets becomes really, really fundamental. You have to do that at the very beginning of anything you do in your international marketing. Here's this is an old screenshot from a couple of years ago, but I just find it so striking that I've kept it. So it's from a Facebook post that we did for a company. It's a B2B company, by the way. But they still resonate on Facebook. And we did something in English for Canada, and we did something in Spanish in Mexico, same time, same product, localized for Canada. Actually getting 1,200 engagements was very good. The same same post got over 20,000 engagement levels in Mexico. And we had people, putting in pictures, putting in all kinds of things, resonating with these imagery. So in Canada, just people said thumbs up, like, but in Mexico, it was like, oh, this is fantastic. It was a whole discussion and so on. So it was a very different response. Again, a different buyer persona means a different response on these things, and how that response then gets translated into sales. What do you then do with that response? How do you then nurture it? So knowing all that means you will shape your marketing and shape your digital assets according to your buyer persona. That's why it's so important to know the buyer persona in the beginning. When you're going international, say, okay, I've got my Louisiana website. Here it is, my Louisiana website. And everybody speaks English, right? Well, yes and no. The problem with the web is, as I said earlier, it's always searcher-centric. It's always the person behind it. So that Google or any kind of search engine, YouTube is a search engine, Amazon's a search engine, any search engine always puts the searcher first. So if your website is, judged to be not relevant for someone in Germany, then you will not be on the first couple of pages. You'll be on page 20 or something. It's irrelevant. If your website is not seen to be relevant for someone sitting there searching in Spanish in Mexico, google.co.mx, in Mexican Spanish with all, you're not going to show up. Google's just not going to see you as relevant. So you have to think about how to make yourself relevant to those markets. And what would that, what is your buyer persona in that market? What will resonate with them? How will they find you? What are they looking for? This is a silly example. But Google is a search engine. If you're sitting in the UK, you go to google.co.uk and you say, I've got a webinar and a masterclass for Louisiana coming up. I don't want a dog barking, so I'm going to look for squeakless dog toys. And I get these things. I get amazon.co.uk. I get bettyandbutch.co, Bustle, imagery, Kong, media. Anyway, there you have it in the UK, in London. I ask a colleague also in Grand Rapids, google.com, squeakless dog toys. So same search engine, theoretically, Google, same search terms, squeakless dog toys, different results, different imagery, different, chewy.com, amazon.com. I get a blog, freedompoolharness.com. So different results because Google at Grand Rapids sees what I'm looking at and sees what's relevant to me and says that thing in the UK is not relevant for you. So that's just a silly example of what I mean by relevance for the local searcher. Obviously, keywords are key. And I'm sure you all look at the keywords regularly and figure it out. Keywords are changing also with AI. The way people use keywords is changing with the way people with AI. And we're seeing that already in some of the analytics we're seeing. But keywords are obviously important if you are in the running shoe business and you are advertising in Canada and paying Google money to spend money on the word sneakers, then you're hitting only about less than a third of the Canadian market, because Canadians use the word runners. Like people in England also use the word runners more than sneakers. So that's an example of the importance of keywords and keyword optimization, especially when you're doing Google Ads. Just mentioning that again on AI, I'd say over the last year, we've increasingly seen ChatGPT being used as a search engine. So, when you go onto your analytics, you'll see Google, you might see a couple from Bing. We're now also seeing ChatGPT, which means Chat is trolling the internet and finding relevant information to get back to the searcher, which I think is of interest. This is a really horrible, nasty slide, but it's pretty well on purpose. Again, if you have a real interest in this, I just really want to say your URL is seriously important, and choosing the right URL for your target markets becomes really important. It's important to understand who you're searching for, and one of the triggers for a search engine will be right in the front and the top of your URL. This also comes in later when I'm talking about the value of some of your digital assets. Your URLs are a valuable property, and you should be careful about who you give them to and what you do with them and how you pinpoint them. So if you're looking to attract Spanish-speaking people in Germany, for example, or Spanish-speaking people in Spain, different URL. And these are clear indicators for any search engine. The first thing they will look at is your URL. I guess in a nutshell, though, what we're really talking about is this notion of this localization. So localization for us is not about language. It's about your URL. It's about where you're being hosted, the imagery and language that you take, your navigation and mobile enablement, the regulatory environments. All of those things factor into localization because it's all about that local buyer persona again. So it's respecting the local buyer persona, your target in the, UAE or whatever, the GCCs or whatever. That's who you're trying to attract. How does that person search? Where do they go? What language do they use? What terms do they use? Where are they searching? Find out where they are, and then find that you're in that same place. Similarly, for e-commerce, it becomes even more important to make sure that you are on board and respecting your local buyer persona. You've basically got less than 3 seconds when someone comes onto an e-commerce website to build a trust, and you need trust in order for someone to pursue right through that buyer's journey to a cart and to a shopping. So that trust that you have to build is all about that presence, that brand, and having that seamless experience, and reflecting your buyer persona, respecting your buyer persona. I guess as a takeaway, websites are also a fantastic tool to give to any kind of in-market partner, a distributor, an agent, or whatever. Give them the sales tools they need in today's market. That's, I guess, our message as well. Don't give your distributors and say, oh, build a website for me, and they then own your URL. No, not a good idea. You'll lose brand control. That's not a good idea either. You need to be in control of your marketing assets. And today that means websites, blogs, infographics, all those digital assets that help sell your products. You need to be in control of them and absolutely master them, and then give them to distributors and market partners in order for them to do their job. And we'll talk a bit more about that if you have an interest as well. Right, moving along. We'll talk a little bit about some of the marketing tactics, some website examples, and a little tiny bit about trade shows as well. I wanted to show you some examples of companies that we work with. This is a company, they make grill toppers, and in their advertising and so on, they've been around for quite a long time, since 1989. They sell via Walmart, Amazon, they sell in a whole bunch of different verticals all around the place. But they did find that without their own website, they found that over time their prices were starting to be eroded, and they had less and less negotiating power with companies like Walmart. And so they said, nobody's understanding our brand anymore. People just say grill topper. They don't recognize our brand. And how do we make our brand stand out? And so they basically said, okay, let's build our website and build our online marketing site to do that. And so that's what we did for them. And I think it's interesting, just looking at their social media marketing, where they're looking at, they say, we are all about, hold on, let me just check this away. We are all about, community, being together, activity, outdoors. So you hardly see the grill topper. What you see are people all together. That's the building that brand awareness side. And it allows them then to negotiate and say, we have a brand. So they're still selling on Amazon or Walmart and so on, but they're able to have some defense against price erosion because they build their own brand and sell also on their own brand side. If you want to learn more about them, there's a ton of stuff on our website with some testimonials from them. I wanted also to share another one. Looking at global distributors and getting back to that notion of distributors and how distributors work. It's really about supporting local distributors. And this is a company called AMSOIL. Again, we do all their marketing for them. And they have a series of distributors. But AMSOIL says, we do our marketing. We do the AMSOIL marketing across any market. And we'll feed you distributor leads. And the distributor's job is inventory, is logistics, is compliance, is after sales, all of that stuff. But it's not about controlling the brand. The brand stays firmly in control of the company. And I think that's a really important message to get across when you're looking at international. So again, this is a company that, takes on the marketing and feeds its distributors. So, there's nothing that a distributor likes more. And you're saying, there's real competition to become the distributor for these people. And a lot of the time when you're doing this, a good way of looking at it is building what's called a landing page. And this is the landing page. In fact, and was so moving from there they are in Mexico. Here they're building out their distributorship across Africa at the moment, this company. And so we built a landing page specifically for that. So any marketing that you have bounces back onto a landing page. So you can do marketing on LinkedIn and say, we're looking for distributors in, say, Kenya or whatever. And you can target that market very precisely through LinkedIn or Facebook or whichever platform you want to look at for your buyer persona. And then put a link to the landing page. And that allows you to really, define and clarify your marketing very well. So it's moving along with that landing page and really making sure that it's a value add page for your website. So that's something that's a good thing to have, whether it's for a trade show or for distributor searches or new product launch or something that's, something that's happening in your company that's important that you want to have a specific dedicated marketing tool for. So again, it's a landing page. Just finally talking of also, a lot of you work with distributors. I thought it might be important to show as well. A lot of the things that we're looking at today, and again, this goes back to a lot of AI developments in the last 2 years, is really understanding how effective each distributor is in each country. And now you can really look at the data for each country and each distributor very well. You can see how many clicks, how many email send-outs they've done, how many reach outs, how many send-outs, how many prospects they've done. And then you can really start to say, okay, this is performing well. This is not performing well. And start to have real data that allows you to manage your distributors. And having all that driven from your website is a really strong enabler. It saves you a ton of time and allows you really to have very constructive discussions with your distributors. As a side effect of that is it allows you to support your distributors in a better way. So you put all of your material, your data sheets, everything else on your website in a separate portal, which is only accessible to your distributors. All of it can be found in one place. So it allows all of the distributors to have equal access to all information all at the same time. And then you monitor what each distributor is doing with that. And that's, as I said, a very strong tandem way of dealing with distributors. All right. We're sort of getting on to the last bit, and hopefully you have some questions or some comments. Love to discuss there. Just some sort of takeaways, and just sort of saying, just getting back to some of the basics that we talked about here. Why we think you could all benefit from having the right digital tools. Remember those numbers we talked about at the beginning. So 8 billion of us on the planet, 5.5 billion of us are online for like 7 hours a day. Almost all of those are also on social media. How do you leverage that? What do you do with that? You make sure that you have the right websites. You make sure that you have the right digital marketing. And the combination of those two allows you to reach your target markets when you want with the right message, the right time, the right person. So that's the real power, the real enabler of your digital assets. Those latest trends that I mentioned earlier, AI is one, e-commerce is another. That's really the two that I think are the ones that I wanted to highlight most in this conversation. And e-commerce also, not just for B2C, but really if you're on the B2B side, think about how you can make something more e-commerce enabled on your website. And we have lots of examples of that. An e-commerce enabled website is, for example, doesn't have to have a payment gateway. It can end in a request to quote. It can end in a cart, which then says, okay, here I've got these machines that I want. How much would that be? And then your salesman can actually just call and say, that's great information. And here we go. Here I've got a quote for you. This is basically a sales qualified lead that you're handing to your sales and marketing team. Some of the digital must-haves that we think are really important, going back to that notion of having your brand and owning your brand. And when you're going internationally, how important that brand management is. How important it is. It is the thing that stops price erosion. It's the thing that allows you to really connect with your prospective buyers and clients. So, think about, how is my website performing? How is my digital marketing performing? Where am I getting hits? Where am I succeeding? Where am I not succeeding? And if so, why? So a couple of questions to ask about your website. How is it optimized? Is it easy to navigate? When was the last time it was refreshed? On the international side, some quick and easy wins. We talked about URLs, the importance of them, the value of them. Don't give them away. Keep them, buy them. They're not expensive usually. Showcase your international expertise. I've written Pennsylvania here, but anyway, can be made in the USA, sold worldwide. A lot of customers, if they do find your US website, they're like, well, yeah, I want that, but I don't know if they can service me. I sit here in Colombia. I sit here in Japan. I'm in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if they've ever exported here. Are they able to export? Is this company big enough to do that? I don't know. Showcase it, boast it, highlight it, showcase it. And make the get in touch seriously easy. I've written down WhatsApp. It's a fantastic tool for anyone who's looking at Latin America, but other markets as well. Talk to the world. What is your LinkedIn profile? How strong is it? How regular are you posting? Remember, it's a person to person, but it is a strong, strong platform for anyone, especially in the B2B world. And imagery, and videos is another major topic. It's something that is easily leveraged. And we've got, if you want to talk about videos, Ava's a bit of an expert on it. You can ask her some questions on the video side. The video, a good smartphone can take a worthwhile video these days. You can post it, repost it. You don't have to have dubbing. You can put little tiny subtitles on it in different languages. It's a very strong product, very strong thing to have. And then also focus. Our real advice is, don't spread yourself too thin. Go for the low hanging fruit. If you're saying, oh, I've got at least 10 different markets I can go to, I wouldn't. Right? Normally you really just want to do one at a time. Exporting is not easy. You've got tremendous help with Louisiana Economic Development Agency, people like India, but you need to focus on it as well and make sure you get it right. This is something which I think is, whether it's international or domestic, it's I always say, bring your sales and bring your website and your digital marketing into your sales and marketing meetings. Most companies will have a sales meeting like once a week or on Mondays or whatever it is, and you all sit around the table or on Zooms and talk about your various leads. Okay, what impact did the web have on it? What impact did the marketing have on it? What impact will it have on it? We're going to a trade show. What should we do with our digital marketing about that? We're launching a new product. What effect does that have on our website? So on. So bring them, everything that happens in the company should be reflected in your digital marketing and your website. So bring them in, treat them as individuals. Treat your website as a person within the team. And then a couple of new things, when where are you in the funnel? If you've got a top of the funnel, so a cold lead, maybe let's have an email flow. Let's put some newsletters out, showing videos and imagery to showcase some solutions. You've got a hot lead. How about a client testimonial? How about a blog focused on their issues, an infographic? So segmenting your database and responding to each of the segments of your database are key as well to your marketing endeavors. Just a reminder of who we are, and that there are these Louisiana programs for you, which, as India said, even benefit from the kindness of the STEP grants for up to $10,000, which is great. And we are the e-commerce partner for U.S. commercial service. There's lots of information on the U.S. on trade.gov e-commerce website with all of our stuff on it too. Or else you can go straight to our website, the resources page. And as I said, we even have a Louisiana dedicated page with some details about the programs there. And there we go. Questions. That was it. I've talked an awful lot. I hope that was of some use to you, but I would love to hear, if you've got a specific questions or thoughts that you would like to me to answer. As I said, Ava's the person on videos as well. John asked specific ones on that. John, was your AI able to sorry, was your AI able to keep up?
Yeah, it was, and I hope it didn't alarm anybody. It's a tool I just got engaged with like a year, and it's pretty intelligent. Like I don't even know how to remove it, to be real with you. So I hope it I hope it didn't alarm nobody, but I will be taking you all up on that. And my brand, I produce manufacture beer in Louisiana for a living. I own a company. It's a family-owned beer brand, and we've been expanding into Japan as well as Canada. So a lot of those market trends, but also how to engage those different cultures, I will be taking you all up on it. I'm still trying to digest it all, just never seen it articulated in a way that was as tangible as how y'all sent it. So thank y'all.
And I'll send you the slide deck. And if you've got specific questions and you say, yeah, but what about Japan? We've got a ton of stuff on Japan. We do a lot of business there. We do a lot of business in Canada. Yeah, they're they're really interesting markets. Really, really interesting markets. Quite different, to say the least. I'm also going to look at Paige's. I think it was Paige who asked a question about, we can't sell online because each one of our pump systems are unique to each customer. We find that often. We find that quite a bit some of our, I can't actually show you a website now because I would take up myself off Teams, but we can show you examples of companies who sell a unique product for each one. Each one is a separate, product which is designed separately for each customer, but they do have some top level form of e-commerce enablement at the very basic level. So a customer can say, I'm interested in that kind of machine and this type of application, and then send something in via the website, so that there's some communication on the website already before you get to a contact form. So it doesn't even have to be a contact forms are a little bit scary if they're long. People are like, oh no. But if you're just asking specific questions about the product for someone, like if you have a LinkedIn campaign which then goes to a landing page or goes to a page on the website which shows your products, and you could even have a bot which says, are you interested in that type of product or this type of product, and then funnels it down that way. You will then get some kind of, even if it's just an indication, that your salesman can then go on. Because the worst thing in the world for a salesman is saying, I haven't a clue who I'm talking to. I don't even know what they're interested in. But here you have a little bit of a lead.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll try and find some exact ones that I can ping your way, Paige, of examples of websites that we've worked on. I'm thinking of Hofferflow, which I think is a North Carolina company. If you look at them, Hofferflow, we do their stuff. And I'm thinking of Pioneer. What's Ava? What's Pioneer's last? is it Pioneer Engineering, Pioneer Manufacturing, Pioneer, there's so many different pioneers, Pioneer Engineering, they make bearings.
Okay.
But that also has less e-commerce enablement on that one. But Hopper Flow, I think, has, and you can start to see the types of mission. Those are the first that come to mind.
Okay.
On that.
Awesome.
And Elena, what sort of markets are you looking at in particular? Are there particular markets you're looking at?
I would love to do the Latin market. Actually, yo hablo español. I speak
Yeah.
Spanish. And I just have an affinity for that. And but I was messaging with Ava. I am a one-woman band. I doing everything, and I have a full-time job. So this opportunity to have a grant to help with marketing was really so that I could figure out how to
Right.
get out of this little rut that I'm in. Also, I was really interested in the online trade shows. I
Yeah.
thought that might be something that I might be able to do. The challenge that I face is that my product is the kind of thing that you really have to have in your hands to feel, to understand why it's so useful for self-care. Like everyone's like, oh, I can use a strap. I have a stretch product. I'm not sure if you saw all of our products. Yeah. It's the kind of thing that once you feel it, it's like, oh, and you it's right. So this has been a challenge for me this whole time. So I'm not sure how I'm going to move forward. I'm in that little rut right now where I'm like,
Okay. It maybe trade shows the way. What I would say for anybody looking at the Latin American markets, get yourself at the very least, before you can start, a WhatsApp number. And you can get
I have a personal one, so I need to do a business one.
Oh, you could do one for yourself as well. I mean, if you have one, but that's how people in Latin America and Mexico will want to relate to you. They won't want to go on email, and they will not almost never telephone a landline.
Well, and that's fine with me. I have a person. I would create one for my business. My thing is I don't know the whole process of how that works. I'm going to connect with somebody. What's involved for me to be able to have a distributor in Mexico?
I think the best is right now at that point, go back to India, and U.S. Commercial Service also has a whole just a whole wealth of people that we could put you in touch with to help new to export and new to market. They have a really well-trodden path. But what I would say is if you've already got a WhatsApp number, that's already a good start. And a business WhatsApp, I could see Anna nodding her head, business WhatsApp is free. So you could actually get one for yourself and a separate one for your company. So anybody looking at the Latin American markets, Mexican markets, a lot of Southeast Asian markets, people want to communicate via WhatsApp, not by landline.
Great.
And Anna, what about you? What are some of the target markets you're looking at?
I mean, we're trying to go, I mean, nationally, we're all over the place, but we've had some traction in Guyana, of all places, in South America, and then as well as we're seeing good traction in the Caribbean. So those have kind of risen to the top for us. People just kind of finding our websites and reaching out, and
that's fabulous.
Yeah, now my team is trying to put in the work to see how can we cater to those markets to bring more traffic in, and but it's been really interesting. They kind of stumbled upon us, and we're trying to chase that. But
good, yeah. So also very visual markets. They will want to see, if you've got anything like, hey, some videos and things like that, they'll want to see those. They're very attractive in that. A lot of those markets look first on YouTube. They use YouTube like a search engine even more than Google.
Yeah, we had actually just this year had a guy come out and produce a few videos for us, kind of, about our products, that we had more visuals around our products. We manufacture construction materials. That's what we do. And anyway, so just, having some promotional material videos around, what it looks like, how it's made, also testimonials from our employees and, who's working for us and where they come from and what they're doing. And yeah, I think that's been a great marketing, just to vary up the marketing, not just reading articles, but also getting to watch and see. So
we would very much concur with that. That's what we're seeing very much as well. And what we like doing as well is taking like videos from a company, let's say that has some success in the USA, and we'll say, they want to go into, Saudi Arabia, or they want to go to Guyana, whatever. I say, okay, let's put some Spanish subtitles on the bottom. You don't have to redub, you don't have to have even every single word, but just the core messages. And people are very, very willing to have an English voice and have the subtitles underneath. They're like, yeah, that's no problem at all. Japan, for example, would be a great market for that as well. You don't have to have everything in Japanese. You could just have little short subtitles in it, so you don't have to redub everything like that, because that gets really expensive. But the power of video is certainly something that's a major effect. And as I said, YouTube is definitely a search engine. People go there to look for not just how to do things, but where to find things. And Amber, how about you? What particular markets are you looking at the moment?
So we're in oil and gas, so we're international. Right now, we're focusing more on Saudi Arabia and Nigeria. But we are all throughout the Gulf and South America. So it's just a global footprint across the board.
Yeah. There's our interesting markets very much. And we find, for example, for the GCCs, for the Gulf states, very often they're, one of the first questions we have is, what language should we do this marketing in, or whatever? Because very often, if it's a government official, it's going to have to be in Arabic, as modern standard Arabic for Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain. But, very often the engineers are from India or Germany, and they're actually, doing things in English. So very often we work quite a bit in the oil and gas industry, and a lot of our websites and a lot of our marketing is is in several different languages. And that's actually a bit of a challenge sometimes to get that correctly localized. But we'll be like, if, for example, the best example I have is in fact in healthcare. In healthcare, if you're looking at the healthcare market in Saudi, it's all in English. Oil and gas, though, is half and half in our experience, because Aramco wants it in Arabic, but the engineer wants it in English. That's what we find anyway. Right, we've come to our end. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate your time. We'll send you each a copy of the slide deck, and we're also going to send you a little report on your website. It is meant to be constructive, meant to be helpful. It is not at all a critique in any way. It's supposed to be helpful for you, just to see some of perhaps the strengths, but also perhaps some of the weaknesses of your current website. So you all get this SEO report from Ava. She's already done them all. She will send them all to you, I guess, by tomorrow. And then if you've got questions on it, if you say, what is a backlink strategy? Why do I rate poorly on that? Let us know, and we're happy to, just send us a quick question, and we're happy to point you in that direction. If anyone would like to speak more about the STEP grants from Louisiana, how we could help with your online presence, obviously shoot us an email, and we'll set up another meeting. Okay. Any other further questions for anybody? Good. We wish you a great rest of the day. Take care. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Y'all great.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.